but well, Lynn Maleh.
Hello.
Hello. I've learned recently, extremely recently, that I need to say, welcome to Podcastina. This is Galina, and anytime I have another female guest, I have to make sure that the less attuned ears in the audience know the difference between my voice and my female guests.
Wow, really?
It might be a self-imposed issue that I've discovered because I was listening back to an episode in my car and I was like, oh, does my voice sound a little bit like my guest's voice? And I didn't say anything up top to be like, hey, here's what you're listening to go against what I was just talking about of not having a format.
I don't know if you have a lot of male listeners, but this is a thing. Apparently, men, they when they hear the tone of our voice, it sounds to them like singing. And apparently that's why they tune us out so much.
Oh, I've never heard that before.
I think I read it somewhere and I was like, well, whenever men talk, it sounds like accounting to me. So
Helpful accounting, at least?
it's just like Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. That's all I hear.
I knew we would be absolutely cackling a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, because we're good friends.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say that when we have friends on the podcast. It's not just like a guest, it's a friend.
Good. I should do that. See, you've been podcasting longer than me, so I need to take some. What's your best tip for me?
Best tip? Well, technically, you've been podcasting longer than me. I've just had it more consistent recently because I don't know if these listeners heard my previous episode in the original edition where I talked about my stomach exploding.
That's right. I recently went back to that episode because I was looking at stats all the time. I get really horny about my podcast stats.
I mean, how can you not?
You guys, this means the world to me. Please subscribe, and share.
I know. I think I need to beg for that more on me and Christy's podcast because every time we get a positive review, it gives me the will to go on. And I don't think listeners know that because it's we're always on the verge of quitting our podcast, right? Mm-hmm. That's just always the case. So it's I just need one win and then I'll make 6 more episodes.
I love that. I know. I kind of need that too. And it does so much for it. What was I getting at?
Podcast advice or my stomach blowing up?
Oh, yeah, that's it. Oh, so I was looking at our old episode actually recently had some listens because I've had new listenership lately, thankfully, and they're going through the back catalog. So to those of you that are familiar with dear Lynn, her abs are fine now. So.
They are. I haven't had an exploding muscle since. So
have you changed how you work out at all because you had that injury? Are things tamer now?
I wish I could say the injury was what tamed me, but no, the second I was back in shape, I was back at the gym. I didn't miss a beat. But I would say the pandemic for me, and I've talked to a lot of people, really changed my relationship to fitness because there was in the beginning, I did all the Zoom workouts, and then somewhere in the middle, I was like, what am I working out for? This world is about to explode. I don't need to have a hot bod. And then I just stopped for months and months and months. And then my body started to feel bad. So I went back. But now I think I have a much healthier relationship. I go maybe 3 times a week instead of every day.
And you're still CrossFitting?
Yep. Yeah, still in the cult.
I mean, when you find something you like, you have to stick to it because it is tough. I've had this conversation with a few people working out is not fun, and I don't think it's supposed to be fun. And I think anyone who says being at the gym and lifting weights is fun is lying through their teeth, through their very muscular teeth and gums, because it's not fun. It's a freaking chore, but you just have to get through it. That's my take on it, at least. I think it's really boring and monotonous to weightlift, and if I'm not listening to something that I'm enjoying, then I just have to get there. Once I'm there, I'll do it, but it is not fun. I do not look forward to lifting.
But then I feel that's surfing is your fitness passion.
It is.
And that's how lifting is for me.
Okay. So
I really
fun
enjoy
for
it.
you.
I like it so much that I have to make a conscious effort to not let it take over my life because I will so easily let the gym be my entire universe. And I'm like, no, Lynn, you are a creative person. The gym will never take you anywhere. It will never pay you money. this is a weird habit to be so obsessed with. So I make like a conscious effort to be like, I need boundaries with the gym.
That's good.
It's like my toxic relationship.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. And I've noticed the worse I'm doing in my life, the more time I'm spending in the gym. I might have said that in the last episode, but like whenever I'm looking really good, like my life is falling
Oh, no.
apart. Because it usually means I'm not working or like I'm too depressed to go to open mics or I'm just like chasing that adrenaline where I can get it.
Are you a supplements girly at all?
I am not. I take like a multivitamin.
Same.
Yeah.
Everyone? Not everyone. No one. Walk that back. I keep thinking I should start taking creatine without knowing a lot about it.
I feel like you don't want to take creatine, but maybe you'll get jacked. I don't know.
I kind of want to be jacked.
Okay, if you want to get jacked, then maybe. My body puts on muscle really easily, so I want like the opposite of creatine.
Yeah. But then I asked someone, I did like a little Instagram survey. I'm like, who's taking creatine and what can I expect?
I think I saw this.
You probably did.
And I was like, she's going to get some weird DMs.
And I got a few, but I had someone tell me that their face got really bloated off of it, and that deterred me.
Yeah, I would say, I don't think you're going to get much out of creatine.
It's supposed to help your brain, though, and
Oh,
that's what I
okay.
need the help with.
Yeah, that's so funny. If you say something will help my brain, I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I've never taken like ADD medication, and I feel like I would like it so good.
It got me through college.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it absolutely did.
But isn't it like insanely addictive?
Um, I'm probably not the right person to answer that because I have an interesting relationship to addiction where things that are like supposed to be really addictive are just like, like doesn't really
Yeah.
stick to me. I'm very lucky. Like I have been pretty honest about this before, but I have like this weird on and off relationship with cigarettes, whereas most people like if they smoke, they smoke.
Yeah.
And they can't just not smoke. Versus me, I like stopped consistently smoking 5-6 years ago, but every once in a while, just for shits and giggles, I'll just buy a pack of cigarettes and smoke them, and then that's it. And then I don't smoke again for like 6 months. And I don't think that's a normal relationship to have with something like that.
I mean, I feel like that's very chic. I feel like, is that Ukrainian? I feel like smoking cigarettes might be like in the
Maybe.
European way.
It's definitely a very European thing. And yeah, if I'm in Europe, I'm like, oh, I'm getting cigarettes.
I just tried to, because I'm kind of a health person, just tried to cold turkey, never touch them, but they do look cool.
And it's like something about the cigarettes specifically because like I have no interest in vaping. I never want to vape. I don't care about vaping. I've tried other people's vapes and I'm like, yeah, not cool.
I think it's so strange that people I know are getting into vaping now in their 30s. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What a hobby to pick up.
Because I picked up smoking in my like angsty teen years when I was like going to Warp Tour and all my friends were smoking in Starbucks parking lots.
Yeah.
And the first cigarette I ever had, like one of my best friends dropped a cigarette. She had already been smoking for probably like a year or something. And she dropped a cigarette and was about to throw it out. And I like grabbed it off the ground and was like, I'll smoke this. Which is so crazy.
Her floor cigarette.
Her parking lot cigarette. And then I smoked it. And that was like the beginning of that. But she, like when she quit completely cold turkey versus me. I was just like, oh, I'm not buying them anymore. And then when I'm like, again, if I have cigarettes, I'm going through it, by the way. But I also, like, when I smoke now, I secretly smoke and no one knows about it.
Uh-oh. Are there smokers in your family?
No.
Oh.
My grandpa was, but when he quit. And he was, like, a probably pack-a-day smoker versus even when I had them on a regular basis, it was, like, 2, maybe 3 cigarettes a day. I was never, like, such a crazy smoker,
Have you ever, like, done like a chart of cigarettes to like things that are happening in your life? Like,
oh yeah. I can tell you, so last year when I had cigarettes twice last year. The first time when I lost a writing job, and then it was in the middle of the writer's strike too.
Yep.
So I had cigarettes for that, and then I had cigarettes I auditioned to be a door guy at the Comedy Store, and I had like really wanted that job.
Yeah, you'd be
And
great.
thank you. And I was so heartbroken that I didn't get it that then I bought cigarettes.
Okay, so it's not just out of the blue.
No, there's always a correlation. It's always when I'm
Yeah,
like
yeah.
kind of going through
They're
it.
therapy cigarettes.
Exactly. They're good for me.
Yeah, it's really healthy. I came to terms with recently that my vice is the sun. Like, that is the one thing that I know is going to kill me, and I just cannot quit. Like, I'm not addicted to alcohol, not addicted to any drugs or anything. The gym I've, like, established my boundaries with, but the sun is, like, it's going to kill me. You're
is.
not supposed to be in the sun for hours at a time, and I can't.
But it probably won't be the thing that gets you.
Let's hope. Actually, if it is, like, if I'm on my deathbed and it's skin cancer, I'm going to be like, I died doing what I love.
That's right.
I'm in the doghouse with my dermatologist. I think I told you this.
Yeah.
I got to start going in the winter when I'm not tan because I feel like I went in September. So I was like peak tan and you could see the tan lines. And she was like, what is happening here? And I looked it up. All tans are a sign of skin damage.
I mean, you say this as I'm about to board a plane to Costa Rica to be in the sun every waking minute.
Okay, so this is normal behavior,
Yeah.
right?
Let me be happy. I
Let
could get
me.
hit by a bus.
Right?
Let me smoke my cigarettes while I'm laying out tanning. It's fine.
And why would it make me feel so good?
To an extent, we also need it.
Yes.
You can't really replace. You know how many supplements you would have to take to replace the vitamin D? Do you know? Because I don't. I'm really asking.
I truly don't. And I don't think it would be the same because I tried to do that when I lived on the East Coast. And it was like, I was still miserable all winter long. And here I'm infinitely times happier. I wear sunscreen. Listen.
Yeah, this is a pro sunscreen podcast.
I also have a theory that my dermatologists don't realize I'm brown. So they see me and they think I'm just like a white girl who's like really fried in the sun.
That's true, because seeing someone Middle Eastern, like, first of all, you tan very easily,
Yeah.
and then they don't know that, and you have, like, a pretty white passing name.
Exactly.
So you're tanning off probably 1 week of laying out, probably
Yes.
looks like me after a month of laying out. So they're like, oh, this is reason to be concerned when it's
Exactly.
really not.
Yeah. If you see my dad, he's like dark. He looks like almost Indian.
Well, there you go.
I'll bring a little photo album next time.
But back to the ADD medication.
I think the entire audience is like, oh, yeah, they do have ADD.
So I was diagnosed with ADD or ADHD or whichever in college. However, I kind of went in taking the test with the intent of getting the medication. So I think the way that I took the
You
test.
like skewed the
Yes.
test.
I was like trying to manipulate it. Was like the college psychiatrist, and I was like, how do I answer these questions in a way that's going to result in an Adderall script?
That's awesome.
And I did it, but the really messed up thing in retrospect, I was 90 pounds soaking wet when I was in college. Like,
Wow.
I'm very small, and I
Yeah.
was smaller then than I am now. And they gave me a script off the jump for 30 milligrams of Vyvanse.
I have no idea about like.
Sure, and most people don't, but let me tell you now, me as an adult weighing more than that can take 5 milligrams of Adderall at 8 a.m. and have trouble falling asleep
Got it.
12 hours later. So like 30 milligrams, and the difference between Vyvanse and Adderall is that Vyvanse is a little more like time release, but there was no business writing me that much. Like, that's so freaking high. Nobody should have ever written me that high of a prescription. And I knew that then, and I don't think I ever even took like a full 30. What I used to do,
Wow.
this is like such crackhead behavior, is it was before Amazon Prime like wasn't a thing yet. So I would go on eBay and I would buy empty gel capsules and I would bust open my this is like such drug addict's behavior. I would bust my Vyvanse open and like reconfigure it and then put it in these gel capsules so that I could have like smaller portions of it to
Wow.
take, because at that time, I would break them up. I would take one pill and make it into like 3 pills because I just did not need that
You're
much.
the original microdoser.
I am the original microdoser. Thank you.
You were microdosing before there was microdosing.
Yeah, honestly. And then still, I felt so cracked out, and we would stay up all night studying, and my back would hurt. Like, my lower back would hurt so bad taking
Wow.
Vyvanse.
But did you feel like really focused?
Oh, yeah, laser focused.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have written an encyclopedia. Like, I was so locked in.
That's the one thing, because with the writing, obviously, like, I'm a writer, but like that makes me a queen procrastinator, and the idea of something that would just help me like laser focus sounds so appealing, but also so deadly for me.
For sure. And I
Yeah.
don't think, at least feeling wise, it doesn't feel addictive. Like, I would never want to take it if I don't have something to do. But it helps if it's like I have to be sitting at a computer for an extended period of time. And it does help, like, kind of get me into the quote unquote the zone in a way that, like, not having it doesn't. But again, I don't want to be like reliant on it. I don't have a prescription anymore. So it's not something that I like am really loosey-goosey with anymore as a more responsible adult. Thank you so much.
I have a theory that all stand-up comedians, or most of them, have some form of ADD or ADHD, because it is so, like, the art form itself is so ADD, because you're like transitioning from topic to topic with like no like transition, or if you just like switch, and that's what I love about it, because I can't stick with a topic for very long. So I find it very satisfying. I always know a comic is very green when they do a set and then they're like, I don't really have a transition here. And I'm like, you don't need it. Just new topic.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's almost funnier when you're talking about, I don't know, like sex, and then suddenly you're like, oh, vegetables, There's something so special about that.
And when you're doing smaller shows, and this is like a little bit inside baseball, but like, I can't spend time on a transition if I'm doing an 8 to 10 minute
No,
set.
absolutely not. Yeah, I was just talking to someone about like these 3-minute showcase spots and how devastating 3 minutes is, because you don't have time to like do a riff up top, because if you do a riff up top, then there goes one of your jokes. But then if you don't really do a riff up top and you just go into your material, it's so kind of awkward. And I just feel like these 3-minute showcase spots, can you really showcase anything?
No, it's such a weird format. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
Like if I wasn't doing stand-up?
Mhm.
I think I'd probably, so my job, which I still do, was always like online marketing and copywriting. So I would say that would be what I was doing, but that's being replaced by robots. So I don't know what I would be doing.
Are you still doing a lot for Reductress?
I do, but it's very it's not like consistent work by any means, and it's not the most well paying.
Sure. Are they're like the Onion type, is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, I love Reductress. I love the witches that write for that. I believe it's a coven of like these word witches, and every time, so they'll send us all of the pitches that are coming out that week and like who wrote them, and like I get like proud mama fever when I see them. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are so funny. Everyone is so funny. I want to be friends with all of them, but so many of them are like in New York. But I do believe they are word witches.
I love that. Okay, so I actually looked up a couple of your headlines from there because they're so fun. And these are old, and tell me if they were like incorrectly assigned to you, but they sound like you. And this cracked me the fuck up. Okay. This was your headline for them. How to love yourself even though you left your vape pen at Panera.
That's my first one I ever wrote. That's the one that got me in. I also wrote the article for that one too.
There's just so much like Panera vape, but there's just so much in there that I'm like, mwah.
They just opened a Panera in West Hollywood. You picked a wrong time to move.
I did. Oh, man.
Yeah.
And I do love Panera, even though I think we're not supposed to. They, like, allegedly got in trouble for something recently.
Oh, no. I'm
Food
not.
quality things. I don't know.
Not on Panera gossip. It's just like a staple from my childhood. Remember, you'd have like a half day, and then you and all your friends would like go to Panera and like
I
Just,
do love it.
I mean, come on, a bread bowl.
Oh, the bread bowls are so good, and you can't recreate a bread bowl at home.
No, no. I don't know if I could, like, love myself and eat a bread bowl like at this point. That's a sequel to that headline.
Wait, one more. Okay. So this is another. You might want to consider 3 cleanings a year, suggests dentist who's lonely.
That one goes out to my dentist, Dr. Geller. Shout out. I go to the dentist 4 times a year.
Why?
Because
That's so much.
I don't know. My dentist seems to think I have, like, not to brag, but I build up plaque really easily. It's genetic. It's nothing I'm doing wrong. I use a water pick. I floss every day. I'm, like, so intense about my, like, oral routine. And for whatever reason, I just can't get ahead of it.
So that one was skewed. That's actually
Yeah.
something your dentist said.
Yeah. But then another dentist I had, he also told me to do this. And he told me to consider them as massages for your mouth.
Going to the dentist
Yeah.
is a massage
Mhm.
for your mouth. That is a clever way of charging someone for a dentist visit.
I was like, what kind of massages are you getting? They're not supposed to feel like that.
I've been, and I would never walk away being like, ooh, really got a knot out on that one.
No, like I've never bled during a massage.
Yeah.
I've never stared at the clock being like, is this over yet? Is this over?
It's the one. I'm not like a big what's the right, like, I don't necessarily think they're like conspiring to get me. I don't feel that way about doctors. I don't have like a big distrust. However, dentists are kind of the one area of medicine that I am like really distrusting in,
Mhm.
because I do feel like they try to sell you a little bit like car salesman style,
Oh, yeah.
where they tell you all these things are wrong, and I'm like, are they? I'd like to get a second opinion, because don't you think I'd be able to tell if there was a cavity there? Like, do you want there to be a cavity there?
I have such a good story for this, and it's the massages for your mouth guy. Same guy. I had to leave this guy because he was so toxic. So he told me once that I had a weak chin, and he was like, you're really going to need surgery for this. You have a weak chin, and you're going to need surgery. And I was like, okay, is this like going to affect my like health in the future? Or is this more of like a cosmetic thing? And he was like, I really can't say. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll take the referral. And he gave me the referral. I looked this guy up, and it was a plastic surgeon. He referred me to a plastic surgeon. And even in the meeting where he was like, oh, yeah, you have a weak chin, he's like, let me show you pictures of before and after. And he shows me all these pictures of these people with these like really sunken chins. And I was like, I don't think I look like that.
You don't?
But now, like, of course, I have like a whole like obsession with my weak chin and how I'll never make it in Hollywood with my weak chin.
But how does that affect mouth health?
So I do have some like orthodontic work. Like I've had to have braces now 3 times, and I have Invisalign now. So there is just like crowding. My teeth are too big for my face. But, you know, for comedy, I feel like that's gold. My weird, crazy teeth. And like it makes for a great smile. But also the guy from The Bear, famously a weak chin. And look at him.
Yeah.
He's like the most successful guy in Hollywood right now.
Hottest thing since sliced bread. Calvin Klein ads.
So, you know, if you have a great bod, you can have a weak chin.
I don't think you have a weak chin. It's such a wild. So I feel like that dentist was in cahoots with the plastic surgeon then,
sure.
because you don't just like willy-nilly send people referrals for things that they don't need that are not actually going to affect their health.
It was so wild to me, and I was like, this guy also told me, because he was really trying to sell me on the multiple cleanings a year, and he was like, if you don't start doing multiple cleanings a year, I'm going to like refuse to see you anymore.
I doubt that very much.
And I was like, okay, this feels very aggressive. So he also referred me to a guy who took my wisdom teeth out, and he left a piece of the wisdom tooth in my like gums, and I was like on vacation, and I was like, what is this? And then it just like popped out at one point. So overall, I'm not going to drop his name, but wouldn't recommend him.
That's so great. I had to have my wisdom teeth removed. I suppose this was my fault, but I had it done in 2 phases. I don't know why.
Oh.
When I was like, whatever the kind of mean average age when you get them removed, like early 20s, like college age. I had 2 of them removed because those were the only 2 causing issues. And then they were like, don't worry about the other 2.
Hmm.
They're impacted, this and that. And then later, after I moved here, I had another person be like, hey, those impacted ones aren't impacted. And now you have to have them. So I went through
Ugh.
wisdom teeth removal twice.
Ugh.
And the second time I got dry socket, probably from all the smoking.
Ugh. I like that you like got them out and you're like, I need a cigarette.
Yeah, right. No, to be honest with you, it was probably weed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely wasn't. I don't think
Yeah.
I was having cigarettes at that point.
Yeah, back in the pre-gummies day.
Mm-hmm.
Wild.
I do wonder all the time if like smoking weed is like worse than just like is the smoking part of it as bad, right? Like is the
They never, I mean, I have no idea with that one because they really don't advertise it, but then also
Mhm.
maybe they just don't advertise it because, I mean, back when that was like the thing, it wasn't technically legal. So, or is it really nicotine that's a true problem? I know nothing about anything.
No, me neither. And let me have some. Let me live a little. Let me have some vices.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to, Michael Phelps marathon anything. So
Yeah.
like, I'm fine.
Yeah, I feel like you and I are both pretty balanced in everything we do, which is unusual for a comedian.
It is. And in a way, I feel like I've missed out on some fun stuff. Like I started going to Al-Anon a couple months ago
Right.
because 12 steps always not, I'm about to say seemed fun to me, not fun, but like it seemed so beneficial. And I was like, oh, darn it, but I'm not an alcoholic. So
I mean, they can't technically stop you from
Yes.
going.
But it would feel very disingenuous
Yeah.
to be like, hi, I'm Galina and I'm an alcoholic when it's like, no, I don't like getting drunk at all.
Yeah.
But 12 steps seems fun. Fun is not the right word. 12 steps seems productive.
A good place to try some new comedy bits.
Yeah, right. It does kind of feel like an open mic a little bit.
Yeah.
So everybody shares. Everyone's got like 3 minutes. There's something to that.
Yeah. Comedians are just so like, we're like extremists. It's like all like, if we're going to do something, we do it too much. Sometimes I feel like because I have balance in my life, that's like why I'll never be like the great of the greats.
I feel that way too.
It's the same with CrossFit too. Like there's this whole documentary about CrossFit. I never watched it, but I know it's all about like these people with these extreme behaviors. And I do feel like it's like you need to have something in your brain that's just like willing to be like a little kooky to like really make it to the top. And I think I'm like maybe a little too normal and balanced to ever really be like a great at anything.
Same, but I feel like I'd rather have
Me too.
the balance. I'll definitely take
Yeah.
it because the people who are the most extreme versions, they're kind of not that fun to be around.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think they got that way because of some thing that maybe we don't even know, or like I know in the Tiger Woods documentary, it was like he got as good as he got because his dad was like borderline abusive
Oof.
towards him, where it's just like, okay, I'm glad I didn't have something
Yeah.
so extreme and detrimental that like caused me to be so great at something. So if that means it takes me longer to achieve something, or if that means I'm never like Tiger Woods level expert at anything, for what it's worth, like I'm okay with that.
I think I am too. I know there's a lot of stand-up comedians who are like, I want to be #1 stand-up comedian. That's never been my goal. I just want to be working and making money and, consistently doing what I love. It doesn't have to be. Also, being top of the tops, like being that famous seems exhausting. I think I'm
does.
afraid of fame, to be honest, like truly.
That's fair. I appreciate like having the type of fandom where people that know me are like know me for specific reasons and are like cool people and the people I
Yes.
want in my audience,
Yes.
people that I would like get along with in real life versus, oh, I can't go to the grocery store or something. I never want to lose
Exactly.
the ability to go to the grocery store because I like it.
I know. I love being like anonymous. It's even getting like hard at my level of no fame right now. Like I feel like I can't go to the grocery store without running into a comedian I know. It's like gotten to that point. I can't go anywhere without running into someone I know.
That's because of the area you live in, though.
That's true. It's worse than Los Feliz and Silver Lake. If you like walk on Vermont in Los Feliz, you will see 900 comics. I don't know why they're all in Los Feliz, but it is it is a dangerous place.
Yeah, and that to me, and maybe those are people that aren't like traveling as much, but I'm like, how come more comedians don't live on the west side? Because I'm like so close to the airport. And you would think for somebody that's on the road a lot that you would prioritize like your distance and convenience for travel purposes.
I think there's this fallacy that the east side is cheaper, but it is
It's not.
it's not. I think people just like to act like it's they're like being edgy and living on like the scary side of town, and like that is not true at all.
Yeah.
Like Silver Lake is just like West Hollywood, except in Silver Lake they're like pretending like they're not rich. At least in West Hollywood they're like leaning into how shallow they are. Wow, I'm gonna get cut for this.
No, not at all. But I think it's so funny, like people getting fed up with fame. Did you see Lana Del Rey married like a gator swamp tour guide?
No, I didn't. I mean, she's like kind of like a lady of the lake or something, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just kept thinking, so she like a lot of her music was about life in Hollywood, and so many of her lyrics are like Sunset and Vine and the intersection and
Mm.
just all this like nitty-gritty relationship stuff and LA based stuff, like a ton of references to it. And then it just came out that she had like married this guy who she met him on a swamp airboat tour. And
Well,
he's like an older guy and he does alligator tours. And I think she just got so fed up with like LA and LA
yeah.
men that she was like, yeah, gator tours, sign me up.
Wow. And that's who she's with now.
Yeah, that's her husband. They just
Her
got married.
husband.
They just got married.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I get that though. Do you ever feel like sometimes it's really nice to hang out with your friends who are not comedians and just like not talk about comedy? And it's like, it's so easy and simple, and they think you're so funny.
None of mine do, but okay.
And it's just, I don't know. I do like I feel like there's some comedians who all their friends are comedians. And I do love my comedian friends, but I also do love having like a world where we just don't talk about comedy. It makes you realize how much stand-up comedy doesn't matter at all. Like we think it's like the entire universe, but then to other people, like someone that I'm like best-selling, she's like the most incredible comedian in the world, and everyone knows and loves her, and they're like, who? You were on a show with who?
Yeah.
Someone was telling me, I think it might have been you, that there's like comedy famous and then there's like musician famous, and like comedy famous will never be musician famous. So we all need to like chill out.
It's true. Well, now it's so different because I think because of podcasting, because like
Yeah.
there's podcasting famous, and I've heard other comedian podcasters relay that like if they get really well known for their podcast, people like not forget that they do stand up but kind of don't care. So they think they can like, leverage the podcast audience and be like, "Hey, I'm coming to your town. Please, for the love of God, buy tickets to see my show." And they like could care less about the stand up aspect of it, which I think for me, I'm like, oh, they're supposed to go hand in hand.
Yeah, I know a lot of comics who either get like really political online or like they get big because they like swallow eggs whole or something. Like I feel like they then get like a lot of backlash when they post stand-up clips and people are like, "Go back to your egg thing." And they're like, "But like this is what I really do." So sometimes I don't know, I feel like I don't want to post stand-up clips because I don't want to burn material, but that's, a problem I need to get over. But then I don't know if I want to get like super big doing sketches because being a sketch comedian isn't like my long-term goal. I don't know how to navigate the internet.
I don't want to know how to navigate the internet at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm really I wish there was just like more of a straight through line, but I'm never going to be like crowd work clip comic.
No. Should we be gator tour guides?
Should we marry gator tours?
I think this is where that's going. My boyfriend always says, because I've been with him for years and years, that when I get too famous, he's going to leave me.
That's very encouraging.
He's like, no, I'll have gotten you to where you needed to go, and then, like, there won't be a place for me, and I don't really want, like, the Hollywood life. I just want, like, a simple life, so I'll, move to the woods and, like, carve wood or whatever he'll do. And then he's always like, and then you'll marry Ben Affleck. And I'm like, I don't want to marry Ben Affleck.
Ben's tired. Leave Ben out of it.
But I think maybe it's because he's like from Boston and my boyfriend's from New England. So that just, and like we already know that Ben Affleck.
So he thinks he's Ben Affleck as well?
No. I think it's because Ben Affleck already has a history of dating brown women. He's just like, okay, he's from New England. He dates brown women. That's who you're getting with.
I don't know. Well, I'm alone, so I can't be like, oh, I don't want someone who's famous, or I don't want that. Like, I can't be out here dictating what I do or don't want. As it's like, on the one hand, maybe it would be nice to be with someone who is just a cheerleader and doesn't have his own issues and concerns and fallacies around like trying to have a career, because it's so fucking difficult to be in a space where you're like needing that recognition in order to pay the bills.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, we're in a day and age where like chiropractors are big on TikTok now and are famous and need that and need to have social media and know how to be a social media manager in order to have their chiropractic career be a thing. So then at the same time, am I like, oh, maybe then I will have someone who's like understanding of it and also in that space where like they get it and have to do it too. So I'm like, oh, doesn't matter now, does it? Doesn't matter what someone does. As long as he's working, have a job, please. Have a job.
It's so true. Like, my parents are always like, why are you doing this comedy thing? What if you start a business? And I'm like, this is a business. It's the exact same thing. Like, a realtor, you've got to have an Instagram. A dentist, you've got to have an Instagram. So it's like, if I'm going to, like, have to be on the internet, I might as well be on the internet doing the thing that I love to do. I don't know.
No, that's true. Everyone needs to have a presence now. At minimum, you have to have a website. But to be successful at literally anything requires you to have an online presence now. So it doesn't matter if you want to be the type of person who becomes like a published author at whatever thing. Like, say you're a therapist and you want to be a renowned therapist and you want to have some type of like large reach and be able to sell books or whatever your goal is. You're going to have a platform.
We had a therapist on my podcast, Cleopatra. Galina has an episode. And she said she got some, like, clients reached out to her from the episode.
Amazing.
The marketing works.
The marketing, everybody needs to market. That's the thing at the end of the day. Like, you want to be famous or not, you have to market.
My absolute favorite story, this is so peak LA, is a friend of mine was driving down Sunset Boulevard and she saw a billboard for her plastic surgeon's podcast. And I was like, that is peak LA.
It is.
I've told her, well, I think it should be called Bo Talks, spelled Talks.
That's so good. That's so good.
But I don't know if they were they're plastic surgeons, not word witches like myself.
I feel like you're like spinning away from this.
I know. I realize this is a thing on Cleopatra too. We always watch the footage and all the guests are just like shaking their legs the whole time. I don't know why. They should really put like locks on this chair.
Right? I always think about what's like the best seating arrangement for this type of. I mean, there's so many people listen to audio. I feel like it's mostly audio, but maybe you have dealt with this too when you have people that come in to do your podcast and then they're wearing jewelry and then they're like clickety 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 clickety. If you have a table and then my OCD brain that's just thinking about like the mean comment that's gonna come in on the clicking, I'm like, oh my God, please, for the love of God, I'm not even listening to what you're saying. I'm just watching you click your 10 bracelets on the table. I'm like, please stop.
I don't know if we've had a lot of jewelry wearers, or I don't think the table is like close enough that they can. But does this go on YouTube?
Sure does.
Oh, that's where all the nice men live.
I know, but I wonder if it's like it's not a self-fulfilling prophecy. There will always be people leaving mean comments on YouTube.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I'm like, I shouldn't be spending too much energy worried about like whether those comments come or not, or like what. I can't be, it's like in an audience, right? Where most of the audience can be enjoying it, and we'll spot the one person with their arms crossed and be like, why aren't you enjoying the show?
Yeah.
Why aren't you just laugh at me, please? And then like neglecting the other part of the audience that is having a good time.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to work on that part of myself and how my brain kind of always skews towards that.
Also, like, I will look at a female comedian who I absolutely love and adore and respect and think is the most talented thing in the world. And I'll see the comments on her, like, post, and they'll be like, you stupid whore, women aren't funny, I hate you. And I'm like, how could they say that to her? And then somebody says something about me, and I'm like, I guess I'm a stupid whore and I'm not funny. And it's like, why do I take it so personally? But then when I see it for my friend, I'm, like, ready to attack.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to reframe. That's like my new motto. We're reframing everything. Anything that feels bad, just reframe it.
That's the best way to do it. But I wonder, like, why do people leave mean comments?
I don't know if they're bots. I don't know if they're just incels. I don't know.
I can't relate to that urge.
No, not
when
at
I don't
all.
like something, I just move on.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I do kind of feel like there is a little bit of like a they're obsessed with you thing, and maybe that's me reframing it. But there was one guy on one podcast, shout out Josh Lansett, and he commented that I had a really stupid voice and I should stop having my fake stupid voice. And I was like, well, this is the voice I have. Like, I'm not putting anything on here. And then like a day later, he responded to his like statement, and he was like, I checked out like some more of your clips online, and I can confirm that you really have a stupid voice and you should stop doing this stupid voice.
But that's actually flattering because he did a deep dive and like looked at your work.
Yeah, exactly.
He cared enough to go out of his way and really examine how much he hates your voice. And it's like, thank you so much for hating me so much that you actually love me.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
He loves you.
He's obsessed.
Yeah.
With me and my stupid voice. And then of course I had a spiral and was like Googling like how to change voice. Do I have vocal fry? But you know, the Kardashians made an empire on vocal fry. So
that's so true.
You know, we're going to do it too.
The only criticism I've ever received, and this was on, because you're right, like I have been podcasting on and off since 2017, 2018. When I had my first ever podcast with Michael Burnett, I remember having like a guy that I really look up to, who is someone that I know from work, who's a little bit older, like in his 50s and his 60s. And he wanted to be supportive, and I think he meant it to be supportive, but he was like listening to my podcast and he's like, I really like it, but your vocal fry, oh my God. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know it was that bad or that you're hearing it. But it might be back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the episode, where I think like men hear vocal fry more. I don't think women identify it with it so much.
I had never even heard of it before. So yeah, that I think we might be onto something here, because there were a lot of men in the Josh Lansett episode who had something to say about my vocal fry.
Of course.
And I told someone about it, and they were like, well, do you do vocal warm-ups before you go on a podcast? And I was like,
for fuck's sake.
I would never do that. I respect myself. Can you imagine me like, mum? You would be so mad at me.
The day someone comes in here and I'm sitting here like, red leather, yellow leather.
Why fly?
Put me out of my misery, please.
Yeah, no, I spent 4 years in drama school. I will never do a vocal warm-up again. Thank you.
I have found through having to edit this podcast, because I have to do everything myself, God help me.
That's real immigrant behavior. I always say that, like, about me and Christy's podcast too, to like do everything yourself and like real bootstrap.
Yeah. But it's two things for me. It's number one, a budget thing. Number two, a control thing, where like I'm such a control freak, and I know that I do a good job with my stuff and it gets done to the best of my ability. So I am really, really nervous about delegating. And there's things where I'm like, I feel like I would actually bring somebody on. hire someone in a role to maybe do things I don't like first. And I don't mind the editing. The thing that I hate the most actually is booking.
The scheduling.
The scheduling to me is the trickiest, and that's probably the first thing I would unload. However, I would be so scared and nervous to delegate that off because I'm like, what if somebody else fucks something up and misses something and I could have done it the right way, and now I have to be mad at another person? And this is like stuff I'm working through in Al-Anon, because Al-Anon is all people with control issues. Yeah. So that part is scary to me. However, I have learned through the editing process, at the end of the day, it makes me a better podcaster because I have to like hear everything back. And I have had so many more male guests on who have like vocal tics. They say a lot, or there's weird pauses and things, and I've dealt with way more editing mishaps with my male guests.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And many of them are podcasters. So I'm like, don't you guys kind of have this? Because I actually listen to audiobooks about like being a better podcaster and speaking more eloquently. And, you know, I plan on having vocal coaching in case I'm like saying like too much or doing whatever. I want to be the best.
I do want to get rid of like.
Like
is so bad.
I'm watching Love is Blind, which by the time this comes out will be over. But there was Leo, the character on it, in his pod. He says like and fucking so much that it takes me out of it. Everyone says it. Everyone has these moments. I have said and like and whatever. I do all those things, of course. Sometimes they're just a form of punctuation, and I don't overdo it. I know that enough from having to sit there and listen to my own stuff. However, when something like that is done so much, it takes you out of it. Like, I'm watching I have such bad taste in TV. Reality TV is my favorite for two reasons. So, number one, I get to be as brain dead as humanly possible, and I need that. I need to have some time of sitting down and just having my brain be as shut down as possible, and nothing gets me quite there like reality TV.
And they don't make sitcoms like they used to.
No, they definitely don't. And on the other hand, if you want to get deep about it, reality TV is a microcosm of human nature. And you get to see all these crazy human behaviors play out, especially when it comes to dating shows. You really get to see what the dynamics of a relationship are and what kinds of behaviors people go into. And you can see all sorts of like attachment issues play out, things like that. So it's fascinating. That being said, I've been watching Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And there's this character, Lisa, on there, that when she gets really stressed out, she blinks like crazy. She blinks so much. And I went on the internet, and I was like, Lisa, Real Housewives, Utah, blinking too much. And other people noticed it, too. Wow. So there's times when tics are so severe that people are taken out, and I don't ever want to have anything that's too crazy in my content that's like taking someone out of it, because it's not fun for me to be on the receiving end of that and be an audience member and be taking in something that is like so fucking distracted that I'm taken out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just said there it is.
It's we do it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's, again, when it's so crazy that it's removing something.
I should maybe train myself to be very French about it and be like, and then.
Oh, I like that.
And then they'll be like, oh, she's European.
You might have found the cheat code.
Every language has it. So, there it is. It's like when I run out of something to say, I guess. How much do you edit on this podcast? Do you do like big edits or? Not
really. I'll take things out if we say, oh, we have to take this out. I'll do that. Outside of that, I try to keep it pretty as is. I haven't taken anything conversationally out, really. I haven't had to, because I'm trying to keep it. This really is so vulnerable, but like, this podcast is very much me. Yeah. So I don't want to over edit it and come out with something that I can't remember how it sounded, or it's some kind of skewed. I'm not trying to like manipulate anything.
I've heard that's the appeal of podcast. I don't actually listen to podcasts because I'm not. I know that's ridiculous to have a podcast and not listen to podcasts, but I'm just not an auditory learner. So if I put it on, I just immediately cannot hear it. So I know though that a lot of the appeal is that it's raw and it's uncurated and you're hearing actual conversation in real time, and there's something refreshing about that, I guess.
Good editing should be such that you can't notice when something is edited. I listen to a ton of podcasts. I don't know if anyone's I think the ones that I listen to primarily, there's not a whole lot of
I mean, I
editing
hear
going on.
podcasts are very popular and I'm alone on this.
I'm also in my car a lot,
Yeah.
and that's primarily where I'm listening to them. Although lately I haven't been so much because I've just gotten on. I have fallen into this weird rabbit hole where I'm like all of a sudden re-obsessed with the music of my teen angst years, and I've been listening to that a lot on repeat.
Who are the top artists?
Were you ever like a Warped Tour kid?
I'm familiar with the bands, but I
Okay.
didn't go to concerts growing up.
Here's how I fell down this rabbit hole. And I think maybe it would have been inevitable too. And I also had like a really weird, challenging personal year last year where I kind of needed something to like coax my feelings out of me. And
Yeah.
this music was what helped me like feel feelings in the first place back in high school. But I was at DSW, shout out Shoe Store.
Oh, yes, DSW.
DSW.
R.I.P. the one in Hollywood.
RIP the one in Marina Del Rey.
Oh,
They
it's
moved
gone
it.
too?
No, they moved it
Oof.
over to by the Whole Foods on Lincoln.
Big R.I.P.
Big RIP.
You still got Kohl's, though?
No, no
There was a
Kohl's.
Kohl's in Marina Del Rey.
Oh, no.
Okay.
It's no more.
Everything's gone. You also used to have a Boston Market.
Damn, that
Yeah.
would have been nice to have.
Oh, I'm such a Boston Market fan. I think I read this somewhere, or someone once told me that Anderson Cooper had his intern get him Boston Market every day, and I was like, relatable content.
I respect that.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm at DSW back before they moved it. And I'm walking around and I see this guy and I'm like, he looks familiar. I can't place him. And I'm like staring at him but trying to be coy about it. And it dawns on me that he looks like the lead singer of The Used. Did you ever listen to The Used?
I'm sure if I heard the music, I'd be like, oh yeah, of
Mhm.
course.
So I kind of did another little double take as I'm leaving. And I saw the back of him and he was wearing a The Used hoodie. Which is pretty cool, like wearing
Yeah.
your own hoodie. But that confirmed it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's him. Yeah, absolutely. He just happens to be wearing his own. Which I guess if I had merch and I had no
Yeah.
clean laundry, I would wear my own
Yeah.
merch. Just no disrespect. So I then like got into my car and I love The Used, but like hadn't listened to them in forever. And then now, once again, I'm like listening to so much of them, and then I'm listening to all the other bands that were like kind of big in that era too, because I'll just put on like a radio station, so it's like Taking Back Sunday and Under Oath and A Day to Remember, all these like screamo bands, because that was really my shit. And then Brand New, who I know like got canceled, but whatever, I love them so much.
These bands, I thought
Oh,
I was
okay, so
gonna
it's not,
recognize
alright.
these. No, I thought it was gonna be like Papa Roach or something.
No, Papa Roach was way before. So Papa
Okay.
Roach was like early 2000s. I'm talking like 2005 to 2008, like when I was in high school.
Okay, I think at that point I had gone into the like emo world of like Postal Service,
Okay.
Death Cab. Did you ever do that?
I did all of those, but those
Yeah.
are emo. I'm talking screamo.
Yeah, I don't think I did screamo.
I did screamo, but I also, and this is like a fun fact about me, because I think I present so very clean cut now, and thank God that I didn't do anything more permanent to my body than this. But my ears used to be gauged out to 5/8 of an inch.
Stop.
I used to be able to get like a thick Sharpie through my ears.
Stop.
Yeah, I had 2 lip piercings. I still have the scarring from both of them.
Wow.
I had a septum piercing and I had a nose piercing.
Did you date like emo boys?
Sure did. Yeah, all
Oh.
the guys with the like swoopy hair
Oh
like
my gosh,
this.
the swoopy hair.
Yeah, all the moody boys with their tight jeans and
I
their
loved
studded
those
belts.
boys,
Mm.
and we thought they were so full of wisdom.
Yeah.
And they were so full of air.
They were not it.
Yeah.
They were well off financially.
Yeah,
No, not all of them, but you know, everybody had like the checkered Vans with the holes in them and stuff like that.
absolutely. And you thought that made them sensitive, but they
Mhm.
were just as mean
Yeah,
as
they
like
were.
as the sports boys.
Yeah. But for some reason, I have like once again fallen down that rabbit hole. So for some reason, I'm doing that instead of listening to podcasts. And then I'll like listen to podcasts when I'm like folding clothes or doing my makeup.
Yeah, I wish I could get into them because obviously as a comedian, I'm driving all around the city all the time. If I could have any superpower, 100% it would be teleporting.
Yeah.
I would be unstoppable. Think about like how many shows you could do everywhere if travel wasn't a factor.
I know, but I don't mind driving. I know you hate it.
I hate driving so much. I'm such a train girly.
What do you listen to in the car then?
Pop music.
Okay.
I love pop music. I'm really into pop music. I hope one day to grow out of this. But right now, like Sabrina Carpenter, queen.
I get it. Listen, espresso is so damn catchy.
It's so good. She's so hot that I feel like she isn't real. Like, I feel like Sabrina Carpenter was, like, 3D printed by, like, a Disney executive who was like, she must be blonde, you know?
I do love you're so right. She does have this, like, she's like a spicy Disney princess where she has, like, Cinderella hair, but then, like, the va-va-voom outfit.
Oh my gosh, and she's so thin, but then she has those thick legs. I'm gay for Sabrina Carpenter. I'm so sure of it. She's so hot. I think it's probably illegal for me to be attracted to someone that young, but she's so hot.
Hey, she's marketed for you to be attracted to her.
Exactly.
And it's working.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just... And then I love, love, love Chappell Roan right now.
I do love Chappell Roan, too.
Come
See, my music
on.
taste is all over the place.
Yeah. But you would have to be, I don't know.
How can
no
you not
heart.
love Chappell Roan?
Come on. She's got such a cool look. I really want to be Chappell Roan for Halloween, but my boyfriend wouldn't agree to be a tiny desk.
Is there no other role for him to play?
I don't know. I don't know where he would fit in Chappell Roan's universe.
I saw a music, which is so funny because I never see music videos, and yet one night I was watching a bunch of her videos. And there's one that I think for the song Casual, where like some sea monster comes out and she's like on a date all day with a sea monster. Maybe he can be that.
Gosh,
You should look into that.
Yes, that is a good... I'll try. I'll try to sell it. There's so many we'll try to sell each other on couples costumes, and it's like, no, it's just never gonna happen.
What's the best one you've done?
Best couples costumes. So we're like heroic, like Halloween couples costumes. I really liked he was Andy Warhol and I was a Campbell's soup can.
Oh, that's so good.
That's my favorite one. And he's like such a visual artist. He like hand makes the costumes. So
what a treat.
yeah. And it's funny because he makes all the costumes from scratch, but then like I have followers, so I get all the attention for it, as every relationship should be. I have a theory that men are not centerpieces. Men are table legs.
Ooh.
Women are the centerpieces, and we are supposed to be put on display and shine and be there for everyone to watch and love, and men are just supposed to support us.
I love that. That is how it should be.
Absolutely. Whenever a man needs too much attention, it like really turns me off, which maybe is, I don't know, hypocritical or something, but I just find it very like unattractive when a man, I love introverts. I'm so attracted to introverted men.
No, I agree with that.
Not needing it, not having social media followers, being confident in themselves, like loving to support a woman's shine. Come on.
That's the best. I don't think whatever, if I get hate, I get hate. I'm just going to say this because to me, I interpret that stuff too, where there's like behaviors that are so icky when I see straight men doing them that are just like beautiful and great and delightful when women doing them.
Yes.
And here's an example. So this guy, I wouldn't even say I was talking to him. I initially thought he was attractive. He gave me the ick so fucking fast. That being said, I found his social media.
Oh, no. I know where this is going.
Yeah. He takes so many selfies, and it is just like the cringiest.
Ugh.
And not only does he take mirror selfies, like
Oof.
not only does he take a mirror selfie like daily, he takes them in this fashion as if he's not taking them. So he's like, he like turns away from the mirror like this, as if, oops, who's even taking this? It's not me.
It's candid.
And it is like the most repulsive, like my vagina's never been drier than seeing photo after photo of a man pretending not to take a mirror selfie while he actually is taking a mirror selfie. And yet women can take mirror selfies all day long. Beautiful.
Oh
Stunning.
my gosh, you're
Love
like,
it.
yes, queen, more. Love yourself. Truly a gay man doing it, I'm like, yes, hero,
Yeah.
love this. But there's something about when a straight man does it where it's like, don't you have enough?
Yeah. Like, no one needs to see that. No one needs to see that at all. I
You can
don't
get any
stop.
job you want and
Mhm.
you'll get promotions without asking. Don't take up any more space.
It's just so grossly weird. There, there's like ways to get around it for men. Okay, men, listen. Here's how you get around taking thirst
Hmm.
trap photos.
Ooh, I love this.
Have someone else fucking take it.
Ooh,
Right?
okay.
If
Yeah.
there's like a somewhat candid looking photo of a man and he happens to be looking good, there's nothing repulsive about that to me. It's
Yeah.
fine. Maybe he's repulsive as a person. That's a different issue. But when there's just like photos of men out and about that someone else took, there's nothing weird about this. That's how you get around it. Is I have to know that like other people want to be around you and take photos of you, right? Like you
Yes.
have to have meet that barometer that other people are with you. And then if you just so happen to look hot in a photo, great. God bless you.
Perfect. That's also a nice sell because then it's like, oh, he has friends.
Mm-hmm.
Truly attractive for a man to have
Yeah.
friends.
But a man taking a gym mirror
Wow.
selfie or just any kind of mirror selfie, just anything. The thing in the car where you're like at the wrong angle, where it's like one of these,
Yeah.
and you're looking like you're about to tell me not to talk about certain things. You're about to tell me I have vocal fry right before you take the photo.
He's about to tell you that men can take selfies and stop demonizing men.
Demonize you if I want while listening to Chapel Roan.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
there's just no like I I'm so happy for you that you don't have to deal with singleness. Like you've been in your relationship
Thank you.
for a long time and it is like it is just so tough out here in these streets.
You know, I always thought that like being in a long-term relationship at some point I would like develop a little crush or like meet a guy who I'm like, well, if things didn't work out. But truly in Los Angeles, that has never happened to me once in the decades plus I've been dating my
Ouch.
boyfriend. Like there are guys that I'm like, oh, he's funny, but he's not dateable,
Mhm.
and I would like never fall in love with him. And then I have all these like phenomenal girlfriends, yourself included, who are brilliant, funny, smart, beautiful, everything perfect, and I'm just like I can't set you up with anyone. I'm so sorry.
I just saw a clip of Leslie Jones on Drew Barrymore's show, and she was talking about, she's like, there should be an app, there should just be one dating app, consolidate every single dating app, and the only one that there is should just be called What's Left.
I support that.
That's how it feels, but I
Yeah.
have to believe I I'm half joking when I say it, but I'm like I'm trying to find these divorced honeys because if someone
Mhm.
else, I mean there's a lot of things that like someone else might have hitched their boat to that was also a mistake, but like hopefully at least if it's like just such a red flag to me when men are of a certain age and they've never been in a committed relationship because I feel like there are those men that just want to be single or they are just like so problematic that no one has managed to tie them down yet versus women are primarily like all want to be married. So if you're a man and you don't want to be married or you haven't found someone to marry you yet and you're into your 40s now, it's like what is wrong with you?
I don't know why men don't want to be married too, because like when you marry like a girl or you're with a girl, you get to have like access to really nice face wash, you know? And how could you not want that? And then you have someone who like you know, I mean, I cook, not all women cook, that's not a stereotype, but oftentimes you have access to like really nice food and you get to go on like nice vacations with like your beautiful like partner. Like why would you not want to wake up every day next to a beautiful woman? I don't understand. To me it seems like such a like I want to be married to a woman.
I know, me too. I want to marry a woman. It
Yeah.
sounds so nice.
I want access to new face washes. I
Yeah.
only know the ones I know. And men, I read this once, men who are in long-term relationships live longer.
And we live shorter lives when we're in a long-term relationship.
No, it's even worse. Women, no difference at all. They make no difference in our lives at all. They could be there, they could not be there.
Yeah.
We're equally happy, equally long living, but women are so good for men. Like we encourage them to go to therapy. We help them dress better. I feel like every man becomes infinitely better when he has a woman supporting him.
Yeah, I lived with a single man roommate, not romantic relationship. He like didn't believe in furniture.
What?
He just
What
didn't
does that
think
mean?
just instead of having a nightstand, he just had shit on the floor. He just had all his stuff on the floor.
Did
It's just like the most simple thing. Even like I just had John Parr in here, and he was like, "Oh yeah, before I was with my girlfriend, I had one fork."
One fork.
Yeah.
Wow.
How do you even buy one fork? They sell them in sets. How did you even get just the one? You can't buy one fork
I think
anywhere.
he swiped that from a restaurant. I think he swiped that from Denny's on Sunset.
It's stuff like that where I'm like, how am I still meeting men that are around my age that think that a bed sheet is an acceptable curtain?
That is so wild. I remember the thing that attracted me most to my boyfriend when I first met him is that I remember he lived with two other men and I was going to their apartment for the first time and I was like, yikesies, this is going to be bad. And then I went and his room was so clean and orderly. And then he like made dinner for himself and it was very much like a 3-part meal, like protein, carb, like vegetable. And I was just like, wait, this is a grown ass man. I could marry this man. And then he like brushed his teeth.
The bar is so low.
I was like, I guess I'm going to be with you forever.
I've been trying to work on this on stage, but when single friends of mine will come back from a date, one of the best reviews that we give of a date is we come home and we go, I liked him. He was normal. Like normal
Oh
is
my
the bar.
gosh. And then the thing you hear from your guy friends, they're like, I can't date like that girl. Her name's Erica with a K.
What?
Like, is that really going to ruin your life so much?
That gives me then permission to be single, and at this point, because I've gotten this far, I do want to be in like a loving, healthy relationship,
Yeah,
of
so you
course.
deserve that.
But I don't want to be in anything that's not that. Like, thank God that I'm at a point where I don't want to be in a relationship so bad that I'll just be in a relationship with a dud, because I spent so much of my 20s being in relationships with duds and then being single for a long time and being like, oh, not only am I okay, I'm actually better for not
Yeah.
being with someone that's like a dumpster fire. So there is that acceptance, but it's, I heard it put this way that men, and I mean toxic men, I don't mean obviously like men like your partner or like good men.
Oh, I hate men.
I know some very
I
decent
have one.
ones. Yeah. There's
And there are
some good
some I
ones.
like.
There's some
But
some wonderful ones.
overall.
The overall consensus with a lot of these single men who are like so problematic is that they're in the denial stage of grieving.
Yeah.
Meaning that women have expectations now. A lot of women are like me. They've been single for a long time and they've realized, oh, I have so much peace when I'm by myself. I have a lot of peace. And if I'm not going to sacrifice that peace, like just to be with someone, just for the status of being in a relationship. And so now that behavior of those problematic guys has to change. And they're like, no, it doesn't.
Oh my gosh. I do see there are some. I could see how once you got used to a certain lifestyle, it would be really hard to introduce someone into it. Like sometimes I look around my apartment and I'm like, my boyfriend's stuff wasn't here. It would be awesome. It would be really great. I love him so much. If none of his stuff was here, I would love that.
Yeah.
Every day would be better.
I'm not giving up any real estate in my closet.
Absolutely. And he takes up so little space and I'm still like, we could lose this. We could lose your 6 shirts. But I think it is so wild to me that just there are these men who just are so Peter Pan resistant. It will only make their lives better. But I guess everyone in LA is really career obsessed. I wonder what it's like, because you spent some time back in Ohio, right? Is it different? What is it like there? Or is everyone just wifed up?
Most people are wifed up. There's not nearly as many single people. If they are single, they're definitely like super problematic and it's like obvious, you know? But it is so much career stuff. The only argument with that here is that if you're now in your 40s and you're saying your career is the reason that you've been single, you better have a career.
That's so fair.
Oh my gosh, Lynn Maleh, this has been amazing. Tell
That was
people
a wonderful,
that was a
wonderful
wonderful
little
place
punch.
to stop, right?
Yeah.
Tell people where they can find you.
You can find me primarily on Instagram at Hey Lynn Maleh. I have a podcast with the beautiful Christy Bana called Cleopatra, and I run a show at the Hollywood Improv called Hilarious Habibis. Follow across the board. Bye.
Thanks so much for doing the
Thank
show.
you
Thank
for
you
having
everybody
me.
for listening. Bye.
Bye.